Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage International Miss Leather 1987, Judy Tallwing McCarthy.
What is on? You're on. Am I on? Thank you. Try to let my stage voice take over, and it's not doing too well tonight. I want to thank you for that. I've been agonizing all evening over what I'm going to say here. I think I said something real similar last year. It's been an interesting year. There's no question of that. I was saying last night, it's been the hardest, easiest, most wonderful, most terrible year I've spent in my whole life. In other words, it's been pretty insane. And I'm very, very, very proud to be representing the people who are in this room and the people that I've met across the country. You know, being International Miss Leather, the first one, had some inherent problems in that I had to write, I'm fond of saying, my own job description. We have never had an international woman as a title holder before. One of the benefits, I think major benefits, of being International Miss Leather is that I got to write my own job description. The good thing that happened, though, was we have a lot of men who have already had international title holders, and I think they just celebrated their 10th anniversary last year. So I managed to get some terrific advice from men like Patrick Toner and Coulter Thomas and Scott Tucker. So they had already been there before us. One of the best pieces of advice I think I got the Monday after the contest last year from a man named Jim Ed Thompson. And Jim, I know you're in the room somewhere, I just don't know where you are, and I want to thank you again for that advice. Jim told me that what was going to happen to me, right, is that there were an awful lot of people out there who were going to want to put me on a pedestal. And I'm paraphrasing a little here. And if I let it go to my head, I was going to get dizzy and fall off. And you know that standing on a pedestal, and if you fall off, you've got further to fall. Well, look at this body. It was not made to stand on pedestals. I realized that last year when it took two big dykes to get me on the one they had. You know, who would have thunk a fat 40-year-old Indian dyke was going to be standing up here in all her finery? One of the most important things that has happened this year, and I know damn well it's going to happen to the new International Miss Leather that we picked tonight, is that all of you are going to be as supportive of her as you have been of me. Marcus has been accused of being on my payroll. Marcus, the check's in the mail. Vern Stewart has been writing nothing but great press. You know, those kinds of things that our media people do for us are what help us develop that positive leather image we're all talking about. One of the things I'm getting to do right now, and I'm petrified, is our mainstream media is doing a story on me in my own hometown. And we've gone through 3 interviews because the man who is interviewing me is straight, white, non-SM, and very ignorant. Sashi's been helping me explain a lot to him. I don't want to... Another thing I want to let everybody in this room know, I'm kind of wandering because I have had a lot of difficulty coming up with what I want to say. Actually, I have a lot to say, it's just I only have a few minutes to say it in. You've had more than one International Ms. Leather this year, and I want you all to know that. When I was in Chicago, most of you know my lover Sashi, or you've seen her with me a lot. Sashi's been the person who's been running around shaking hands and getting names and trying to help us set up a network. She's been with me in every single appearance I've made. We've traveled over 50,000 miles this year. And I'm not even sure how much over, but I know I stopped counting at 50,000. Another thing, in Chicago, there were also other women who were representing International Miss Leather. Sky Renfro and Shadow Morton. Sky Renfro and Shadow Morton were in Seattle. They were in Washington, D.C. with us. In most of the major appearances I've made in this country, those 2 women have also been there. So you've had more than one International Ms. Leather this year. And something that I noticed too, we have quite a few of the contestants here this year who were here last year. They're out there, not up here, but they're still here and still working within the community, so we don't lose anybody. And I think that's wonderful. I really want to thank all of you for how good you've made me feel about being a leather person. It's not difficult to promote a positive image of leather when I have friends like you, because all I have to do is look at the person next to me and I see a positive image. So thank you very much. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Thank you. I get to introduce somebody on stage now who's been very, very special to me also this year. I met him in Chicago. I have since seen him a number of times, and if you'll notice my leather finery, it was made by Mack McKinnon of Mack's Leathers in Vancouver, British Columbia. I spent a lot of time running back and forth getting fittings. But I'm really proud of it, and I'd like to ask this very special man in the Vancouver community. He's continued to help build the leather community in Vancouver. The men and women already work together. You know, that's not a question. And I've watched him. He makes his living from the leather community. One of the big pluses about this man is that he puts that money back into this community. And I would like to ask Mack McKinnon to come up, please.
Judy, thank you. Whoa, I'm as nervous as a shithouse rat up here. I'm not kidding. Whoa, I can't follow you, Judy. Nobody can follow you. Somebody else will follow you, but not quite the same way. Judy she's been fantastic. She was in Vancouver. She was a judge at the Mr. and Ms. Vancouver Leather Contest. We do it co-ed up there. And so is Sashi. You forgot in Chicago, Kim Wallace was there too.
Yes?
Yes. There were a lot of fantastic women there. It's absolutely astonishing to see. I knew what to expect. I had heard Judy talk before. The other men didn't. And by the time she finished, there was literally tears in people's eyes. And every one of the men who came up to speak after talked about his brothers and sisters in leather. And I think this is a pretty powerful statement. At any rate, I don't know where to start. It's really sort of jumbled, so you're going to have to bear with me if you don't mind. Okay. I do try to give it back to the community. I have a catalog of men's stuff, and every catalog that's sold, a certain percentage goes to Vancouver's PWA Coalition. So I tried to think of what I could do for the Ms. International. I know Judy and Sashi have traveled and traveled and traveled. And money does not come easy. They don't have these real high power paying jobs. So I thought, I'm doing a women's catalog next week, as a matter of fact. So I thought, why don't we establish a travel fund for the current Ms. International Leather? So what's happening is once this catalog gets going, $5 from every catalog will go to this fund. Now, the nice part about establishing a fund is you get to call it whatever you want. They're happy to get the money. They don't care. So I talked about this with Judy. My catalog is a little ways away, so we got to do something in the meantime. So tonight, I am very pleased. It is my absolute honor to present a check to Sashi Hyatt for the Sashi Hyatt Travel Fund. Sashi, where are you? Where is she? Is she out there? She coming? Sashi, you know what it's all about. I'm afraid the fund will be administered by International Ms. Leather, so don't go spending it on drinks tonight.
Oh, okay.
But thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to do this. Thanks, Judy.
Thank you, Mack.
As Judy said, we've done a little traveling this year. More money. We take money. I have a lot of pockets. And I'm Jewish, and I kind of thought it might be nice to call it the Wandering Jew Travel Fund with Native Indian guide. We were great till we got to New York, and then she was dead meat. I never let her carry a dime in that city because I was home. Thank you very much. This is unbelievable.
We've got one more little thing to be done tonight. You heard the oh no. First of all, Sashi had no idea this was going to happen. She absolutely knew that the travel fund was going to be named after me, and I managed to get through 2 months of knowing without telling her. And for those of you who don't know, tonight is Sasha's birthday. And she's always been definitely a tits woman. So we decided to throw this party for her, you see. But what I would like to do is for... That's it.
I came to San Francisco for a weekend and became a year older. I don't know what's going on in this city, but Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Maybe I'll be here next year for my birthday.
Thank all of you very much.